Hello guys, a warm welcome back into the course Thermodynamics. Today we are going to begin with lecture 6 from the course, but make sure you watch the previous ones before viewing this one. In the last lecture we discussed about energy and the modes of exchange of energy, where you learned that we have two modes of exchange of energy. First is going to be heat and the second is work. So now in this discussion on the modes of exchange of energy, we are going to continue our detailed discussion now. We are going to discuss more about work today, and in work what we will be discussing in relation to thermodynamic concepts is going to be pressure volume work. So this is going to be a very important lecture, because from here actually the learning of the terms related to thermodynamics, the introductory part, that is over, and now the real learning of the concepts that begin. So please do not miss any lecture. It is going to be very important for your understanding. I am Dr. Ritu Johar, your educator from the channel H2O, the A to Z of chemistry, and I hope you're going to enjoy your learning with me. So let us begin today's study. Starting with a brief recap of what you have already learned in the previous lecture about work. That work, this is going to be a form of in which the energy, this can be exchanged between the system and the surrounding. So whenever there is going to be an object, well, on which work is being done, or it is doing some work, or there is a system which is doing some work, or it is having some work done on it, well, there is going to be an exchange of energy with the surroundings of that system. Right now, what is the definition of work? Work is said to be done whenever the point of application of work, this is displaced in the direction of force. So for example, if we have a container fitted with a pistol, and in this we have a gas, all right, and the pressure of the gas, this is greater than the external pressure, well, then what is going to happen is this gas is going to exert a pressure in the upward direction, and this pressure is going to be the generalized force which is pushing the piston upwards, right? So the direction of the force is also upwards, and the piston is being displaced also upwards. Therefore we say that work is being done. Who is doing the work? Well, the gas is doing the work, so it is the system which is doing the work on the surrounding. Work is done by the system. So we can say that work is going to be equal to force into displacement. Work is expressed as a product of two factors, generalizing it into a definitions, that intensity factor and a capacity factor. So the generalized force applied, we call this as the intensity factor. How much is the intensity of the force that is being applied, and the product of this with the capacity factor, how much is the capacity of the body to get displaced. So the product of two, this is going to give us work done. Another thing that you learned in the previous lecture was the sign convention for work. So whenever the work is being done on the system, well, this will be increasing its energy, and hence we say that work done is positive, and work done by the system, well, decreases the energy of the system. Therefore we say that work done is negative. So this is something that very important that you have to remember. All right, now the next. So now let us know about the classification of work. Well, we have two types of work broadly classified under thermodynamics. So first we have is a pressure volume work, which we will be calling in short as PV work. This is the work involved in changing the volume of the system. So whenever there is going to be a change in volume of the system, the work that is going to be done, well, that we will be calling it as pressure volume work. All right, and then we have non-pressure volume work, which we will be calling in short as non-PV work. Here again work is being done, but there is no change in the volume of the system. But what you have to remember is whenever any kind of work is being done, well, it is because of the application of some generalized work. Force, sorry. And for example, if you look at this chart over here, we have few examples of work. So here first of all we have PV work. There the generalized force is going to be pressure, and the effect is going to be the change in volume. The expression that we have for such a kind of work is going to be minus P into dV. In fact, this is what we are going to learn today in this lecture, how we derive this expression for work. Then we have mechanical work, where we have a difference in force to be the generalized force, and the effect is going to be a change in position. That is going to be the displacement that you've already learned in your junior classes as well, that dV is equal to force into displacement, F into dl. Then we have surface work, where we have the generalized force to be surface tension, which we will be denoting by gamma, and the change in surface area is going to be its effect, and the product of two will be again giving us work. This is something that you will be learning in physics. Then we have electrical work. You must have studied in your junior classes. Again, the details of all of this comes in physics. So the generalized force is going to be the potential difference, and the effect is going to be how much is going to be the change in the amount of charge that is being carried across the two terminals, right? So here the force is going, the work is going to be product of potential difference into the change in the amount of charge. So all these three, well, they are going to be what? They will be non-pressure volume work, whereas whenever there is going to be a change in volume, well, we will be calling it as a pressure volume work. Okay, so now let us discuss in detail about this pressure volume work. So when I say pressure volume work, what do I mean by that? First of all, you should understand this, and why is this pressure volume work called as work itself? Okay, so what you know till now is that work, this is going to be equal to force into displacement, right? Which I'm writing this by D. So F into D, this is work. That is what you know of. And now what you have learned is that if we have a pressure which causes a change in volume, well, that the product of that too is also called as work. Okay. So how do we prove? Well, the product of pressure and change in volume, this is also work. What we can do is, well, compare the units of both of these formulas. So let us do that first of all. We have force to be Newton, displacement to be in meters. So Newton meter, this is equal to the units of work, right? And on this side, let us see, force is equal, force upon area is going to be pressure, and this is going to be product into volume. So this is what we have as work. So again, force is going to be having units as Newton, area is going to be meter square, and volume is going to be meter cube. So cancel this out. What you will be again getting is work over here as Newton meter. So both side Newton meter, Newton meter. So this means that yes, the product of pressure into change in volume, this can be called as work. Okay, so whenever there is going to be a pressure being exerted which causes a change in volume, that type of work that we have is called as pressure volume work. Now the next in the bracket, what is written is that this is some mechanical work. So how is a pressure which causing a change in volume can be called as a mechanical work? What do we mean by mechanical work? When you have studied about mechanics in physics. So everything that you related to motion in 1 dimension, 2 dimension, 3 dimension, force, friction, everything was what? Related to motion. So that work that is done whenever there is going to be a force applied into the displacement that is caused is called as mechanical work, right? So F into D, that is what we call as mechanical work. So does this pressure volume work also cause some mechanical work? So let us understand this. So first of all, whenever we are going to talk about pressure volume work in thermodynamics lectures, what we will be referring to is always a gaseous system. So that is a part of your curriculum. So you are going to just deal with the gaseous system. Okay, so here generally, therefore, that is why the examples that we are taking is that we have a vessel which is fitted with a frictionless piston, and in this vessel we have taken a gas. So in all the examples, that is why repeatedly this example is coming, because we are to deal with gases only. Okay, so here now let us understand that if we exert a pressure and that causes a change in volume, well, will that be called as mechanical work? So the vessel that we have taken over here, it is enclosing some gas. So let us assume that the volume of the gas which is enclosed in this vessel is going to be equal to A into L, where A is going to be the area of cross section of this vessel and L is going to be the length at which this piston is present. So from the piston inside up till the end of this vessel, this is going to be L, the length of the column where the gas is enclosed. Multiply this by the area, what you're going to get this as volume. So you all know volume, L into B into H. L into B is area and area into height is volume. So here the height that we have referring to is over here as L. Okay, so I hope this is clear that volume is equal to A into L. Fine. Now this piston is not moving. This means that the pressure inside the vessel, this is going to be equal to the pressure outside. So P gas is what we can refer to this, and the pressure which is being exerted on the outside is called as P external. We can refer to this as simply P also, any pressure is P, and we can also refer to this as P internal also. You will be seeing the various ways of representation of the pressure of the gas. So I've just written all of them wherever you find in your books while you're reading, so you do not get confused. Then ma'am said it is pressure of a gas and here it is written pressure internal. So internal pressure means that this pressure inside the system, that is what we are referring to, and inside the pressure is caused by the pressure due to the gas. So we call this as pressure of the gas. Okay. All right, so now what we are going to do is we are going to compress this gas. When we compress a gas, what do we mean? Well, there is some volume that the gas is occupying. When we are going to compress the gas means that we are going to reduce its volume. The gas molecules, they were occupying a larger volume. We want to compress it so that now the gas occupies some less volume. That is what we mean by the compression of a gas. So how can we compress this gas? The pressure of the gas is there, the external pressure is there. Well, this is not causing the piston to move anywhere. So I have to change the pressure, right? What I'm doing is to compress the gas, I am going to put some pressure on the piston from outside. So what this means is that the external pressure will increase the internal pressure or the pressure of the gas. Okay, and when this happens, what will happen? The piston will start moving down, 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 down till the external pressure, this becomes equal to the pressure of the gas again. So supposedly on applying some external pressure, the piston moves down by a length dl. Okay. So this was the initial volume that it was occupying the gas, and now there is going to be some final volume that the gas will be occupying after the piston has moved. Fine. And what you can realize is that whenever a compression is happening, the initial volume is going to be greater than the final volume. That is why now the gas molecules, they will be closer, they will be compressed together. Fine. Okay. Now, what is this change in volume over here? Well, the piston has moved a distance dl. If you multiply this dl into the area of cross section, well, this is going to be what? The change in volume. And what is this over here written as V equal to A into L minus dl? Well, this is the final volume. This was the initial volume. This was the change in volume that has happened. Why? Because this has what the volume has become now. So if this was L, this is dl, this length is going to be L minus dl, and multiply this with the area of cross section, you will be getting the final volume. So this is V final and this is V initial. Clear enough? I hope there is no problem that there is a volume change that has occurred because of the external pressure being greater than the pressure of the gas, right? Okay. Now the piston has moved a length dl down. The change in volume, we can write this as A into dl. So here this is what we have written, dl into A. This we can also write as delta V, the change in volume, equal to V final minus V initial, and this will also be equal to dl into A. Right? So this is what is happening. But if I just write this down, Vf minus Vi. right? In case of a compression, what you see as the V final is less than V initial. So when I'm going to write it, AL minus DL minus AL, the initial volume, AL will cancel. What will be left is ADL with a minus sign. So this negative sign is showing that a compression has happened. If an expansion would have happened, well, what would have been there? This would have been a positive sign. Okay, so what you can understand is that supposedly now we take the reverse condition. If I take the reverse condition, well, this is going to be my initial volume. Okay, the piston, the pressure of the gas, P gas, now supposedly this is greater than P external. So the gas is going to push the piston upwards. Let us assume that it moves up to this position, and the change in the length that has happened is dl. So again, this into area would be equal to change in volume. But now this will be a positive sign because the initial volume was less than the final volume. So the negative sign that represents only that a compression has happened, and a positive sign would show that an expansion has happened. Okay, and the value, the absolute value of the change in volume, this is going to be equal to dl into A. No confusion, I hope. Great. The next now we have is, what about the pressure? Okay, so we have talked about one thing, that is volume. Now let us look at the other factor, that is pressure, in this pressure volume work that we are doing over here. So pressure, you all know, this is equal to force divided by area, or I can write force is equal to pressure into area. Okay, so now if I talk this force in terms of the piston, what is the force that is the applied by the piston? Okay, that is going to be the pressure, which was the external pressure that we applied on the piston. Multiply this by the area of cross section. This will be giving the force which is on the piston from outside. In this example, whenever there is going to be a compression, it is from the surroundings to the system, and when it is going to be expansion, it is going to be system to the surrounding. So here now we have the force. Just let us clean this out. So the force on the piston, which is denoted by F, you can write this as P external into A, the external pressure which was applied on the piston multiplied by the area of cross section. Clear? Good enough. All right. Now what is work? Work is force into displacement when I call it mechanical work, right? So an example of mechanical work is that you have a table, and you are pushing that table with some force, and it moves some distance. So force into the displacement that has happened of the table, well, that is going to be work. That is what we call as mechanical work. So here now there is again some force, and this is causing the piston to move by some distance. So that force into the distance the piston has moved, well, that is going to be the work done on the system. Why is it on the system? Because the external pressure is doing that force. That is the causative agent of that generalized force. It is the surroundings and not the gas which is present in the system. Okay, so this is work done on the system, and the work done on the system will be equal to force into displacement. And if it is force into displacement, if we put the values, well, force is what we have just now found out, P external into A, and the distance the piston has moved is dl, and A into dl is just what we wrote down as change in volume. So we can write it as P external into dV. Okay, so the pressure outside into the change in volume, this is called as work. Okay, and now this dV, whenever we write d, well, this means a small change in volume. Okay, it can be a small change in volume, it can be a large change in volume. So what we are supposed to do is that if we integrate the whole expression, well, the volume of the system, if it is changing from Vi to Vf, the generalized term that we have for total work done, not just a small amount. This is small amount of change that is happening. So supposedly if I have a piston here and I have to bring it down to the end, there this area is representing a small change in volume. So I have to do what? Well, I have to integrate the whole expression that I have already got, P external into dV, integrated from Vi to Vf as the limit. So you will be getting total work done. Now, what is special over here is that the expression I obtained was P external into dV, and now the total work done, I am writing this as minus P external into dV integrated within limits Vi to Vf. Where did this minus sign come from? That is what we have to learn. But now what you have learned is that pressure volume work is a kind of work, and it can also do some mechanical work. It can cause the displacement of the piston up or down depending upon the pressure that is being applied, which side is more, the opposing force or the driving force. All that you learned, well, it is going to depend upon that. But there can be a movement of piston, therefore it is a mechanical work. So now what do we have to learn? Why do we have this negative sign over here when in this expression we did not put any negative sign? So let us now learn that. So this is the expression that we have, and we are now going to understand why this negative sign is over here. Well, this negative sign is over here because we have a sign convention which we have to follow for work done on the system by the system. Okay, and whenever work is done, it is doing it by spending some energy. Therefore, the spending of energy means we are putting this negative sign over here. This negative sign is representing the spending of energy. There is some loss of energy in doing work. Just like you ate food, you gained some energy and you lost that energy in doing work. So whenever work is done, we are spending some energy, which we represent over here by a negative sign. Okay, and you will understand this when we are going to see the formula why this negative sign helps us go in accordance with the sign convention for work. So what you have learned for the sign convention is that we have a system, right? If the system's energy increases, right, that means delta U is going to be positive, the energy of the system increases. And if energy is leaving the system, well, then in that case delta U is going to be negative. How can we make that delta U positive? Either heat enters in or work enters in, right? If heat is entering the system, then it is going to be positive. If work is entering the system, then also work is going to be positive. When will work enter the system? When work is going to be done on the system. Done on. Okay. And when heat is going to leave, it is going to be negative. And when work is going to be leaving, then work is going to be negative. And when will work leave? When the system is going to do the work. So work is going to be done by the system. Okay. Now what is happening in this example that we have taken? In this example, there is compression of the gas. Right? In the compression, what is being done? Either work is done on the system or by the system. We all now know that this is work done on the system. The external pressure was greater than the pressure of the gas. Therefore, the external pressure pushed the piston inwards. So it is not the system doing anything. It is the surroundings which is doing something on the system. So this is work done on the system. Compression is work done on the system. This means that there is increase in the energy of the system. So delta U is going to increase, be positive. When delta U is going to be positive, this means what? The work is also going to be positive over here. Okay, in case there is no exchange of heat also, only when the whole of energy that the system is gaining is because of work. That is what should be clear to you. I am talking about just two things, energy and work, because there is another element, heat, and that is what we will be discussing when we will be talking about the first law of thermodynamics. But here what the work that is being done is on the system, which is increasing the energy of the system. Therefore, the work done is going to be positive. So it is going to be positive for compression as the work is done on the system and the energy is gained by the system. So this is in accordance with the sign convention. Now, if you look at the formula, okay, so in the formula, what is dV? It is going to be V final minus V initial. Okay, in case of a compression, V final is less than V initial. V final is less than V initial, and we found out then when we subtracted V initial from V final, the value that came out was minus A into dl, right? So there was a negative sign in the volume. If there is a negative sign in the volume, and if you multiply with the product if you multiply this with minus P, well, minus into minus is going to become positive. Therefore, work will become positive. If we did not put this negative sign over here, well, it would have been negative work done. Okay, and then you could not go in accordance with the sign convention. That is why we have put this negative sign over here. So now if you look the other way around about the expansion, so whenever an expansion is going to be happening, well, it is going to be the gas that is going to push the piston outwards. It is pushing the piston out, means that is the work is done by the gas. Work done by the gas, this is going to mean what? Well, the energy of the system is going to decrease now. The work is leaving the system, right? So we have the external pressure to be less than the pressure of the gas. The gas will expand. Work will be done by the system on the surrounding. The energy will be lost by the system, and the work is going to be therefore negative. Right? So work is going to be negative when the gas is going to be expanding. And how do we see in the mathematical expression? So now we know during the expansion, V final will be greater than V initial. So V final minus V initial will come as positive, and the product with minus P will be negative, and therefore work done will be negative. So work done in expansion is going to be negative, and work done in compression is going to be positive. And just putting this sign extra in front of the expression, this helps us so that there is no confusion now. Okay, so work is going to enter the system as work done on the system. I'm repeating it again and again because here the children get really confused. So work done on the system is work entering the system, increasing the energy of the system. Therefore, it is going to be positive. Whenever work is going to be done by the system, the work is leaving the system, the energy of the system is going out. Therefore, it is going to be negative. Okay, so I hope you are clear with all this. All right. Now, if the change in volume is 0, well, then there means that no work will be done. So I hope you remember in case of force and displacement also, in the last lecture, I told you that if there is no displacement happening, then no work is done. If you keep on pushing the wall, but the wall is not moving anywhere, well, no work is done. Or if you're sitting on your place, you are studying, you may study for 10 hours because you are not moving. So this means no mechanical work has been done. So here also, now the change that was happening in volume. So if the change in volume is not happening, then no work will be done. Okay, so this is again very, very important that you have to remember that whenever delta V is going to be equal to 0, no work is going to be done. Now, if the system is at a lower pressure, the piston is going to be pushed down until the P external becomes equal to the pressure of the gas. So work is done on the system. Okay, I hope now this is clear. And the energy transfer occurs from the system to the surrounding as work. So what you have to remember in the nutshell is that when V final is going to be greater than V initial, work is done by the system, work is going to be negative, and V final is going to be less than Vi, then work is done on the system and work is going to be positive. Okay, so I hope now these sign conventions, positive, negative, everything is very clear to you people. Good. So the next we are going to derive an expression for work in a reversible and irreversible process. So first of all, you should have a clear understanding why do we have a different expression for work in a reversible and irreversible process. So if you remember while we were discussing what is a state function, what is a path function, we took the example of a path function to be that of work. What that meant was that work is going to be different depending upon the path that we chose for attaining the final state from the initial state. And you now also know that the reversible process and irreversible processes, they have a different path of the process. One process which is happening very quickly in one go, and the other process which is happening step by step very slowly. So that means that work is going to be somewhat different in these two processes, and that is what we should know about. And that is what we are going to learn. So first of all, what we will be doing is we will be deriving an expression for irreversible work. So what was an irreversible process? I hope you all remember. While we were describing the reversible and irreversible processes, we had taken the example of an expansion that was happening when we were removing some sand from above the piston. Okay, now we will do the opposite way around. We will be taking the example of a compression. Okay, so here we again have a gas enclosed in a cylinder which is fitted with a frictionless piston. Initially, when we have this piston in position, this means that the pressure of the gas is going to be equal to the external pressure. But now what we want to do is we want to compress this gas. To compress this gas, what we will have to do, we will have to increase the external pressure greater than the pressure of the gas. Then only the piston will come down till again the pressure external will become equal to pressure gas. So in an irreversible process, what we will be doing is we will be doing this in one quick. All right. So here it was, and we increased the external pressure by a large amount so that the piston quickly went inside. So supposedly, if initially this pressure was 5 atmosphere, just taking a vague example of the values, this was also 5 atmosphere. Then we increase the external pressure to 50 atmosphere. Okay, so the inside pressure was still 5 atmosphere. So there is a large difference in the value of pressure outside than the pressure inside. So in one go, quickly the the piston went in. Okay, so there was no way in between that the process stopped. Okay, so this was very quick. So throughout the process, because it was such a quick happening, we say that the external pressure is going to remain the same throughout. I hope you all remember in the reversible process, at each step the equilibrium got maintained, but here there is no equilibrium that is going to be attained. It will be only at the initial state, and then it will be only at the final state when the piston is going to come over here. But throughout the process, the external pressure remains constant in an irreversible process. This is what you have to remember now. Okay, so in an irreversible process, the P external is constant throughout the process. From this position to this position, when the pressure change, the piston moved so quickly that the pressure outside that did not get any time to change to establish an equilibrium. Therefore, P external is constant throughout an irreversible process. Okay, so now what we have is that in an irreversible process, the external pressure remains constant. So this you can write down. All right. So now what do we have? The expression of work that we just found out initially, total work done, a general expression. So this is a general expression for any type of work, whether it is reversible or irreversible. Now we are going to change this in accordance with that the process is now irreversible. Okay. So we have work done to be equal to P external into dV, the integration from initial volume to a final volume, and this is with a negative sign. Okay, so now what we are saying over here is that the external pressure is constant, right? Throughout the process, the external pressure is not changing. So if it is constant, this means that we can take it out of this integration sign, right? Because it is constant. So we have minus P external into the integration of dV from an initial volume to a final volume. So this is going to be work irreversible process now. Okay, so this is what we have now done. All right. So this we can write now also as minus P external into V final minus V initial. Therefore, we can write irreversible work to be equal to minus P external into delta V. So this is going to be the expression for work in an irreversible process. Okay, so I hope you will remember this very well. This is an important formula that you have to learn, and how this has been derived from the general formula for work, that also now you know. And you also know that in an irreversible process the external pressure is going to be constant always. Okay, so now let us learn it for the reversible process. So now before we can derive the expression for reversible process, what you have to remember is what is a reversible process. So in a reversible process, what is going to happen? Again, we have the vessel in which we have enclosed a gas, and this is fitted with a piston. So the piston is not moving, so the pressure of the gas is equal to the external pressure. Next, what do we have to do? We have to do a compression now. When we have to do a compression, that means that the external pressure has to be greater than the pressure of the gas. Then only the piston will be moving down and it will compress the gas, right? But now, unlike the irreversible process where we had increased the external pressure by a large amount, we will be increasing the external pressure by a very slight amount. So for example, if over here we had a pressure of 5 atmosphere, and outside also supposedly we had applied the pressure of 5 atmosphere at this position. Okay, now from this position we want to bring the piston to this position. In case of the irreversible process, what we did was that we increase the external pressure to, for example, 550 atmosphere. All of a sudden the external pressure was increased by a large amount. So immediately the piston went down, and throughout the process, therefore, the pressure that remained was 50 atmosphere, that was equal to the external pressure. But now what we are doing is we are not increasing the external pressure by a large amount, but in fact it is going to be by a very slow difference. Okay, so for example, you increase the pressure to just 5.1 atmosphere. I'm just taking vague values, but the values just to explain you what is happening, right? So 5.1 atmosphere, this side it is 5 atmosphere. So the piston is going to come down, but now this will be coming down by a very slow, by a very little amount. Okay, and then again it is going to come down up till the pressure inside becomes 5.1 atmosphere. Then what are you going to do? Again you are going to apply some more pressure outside. Supposedly it is 5.2 atmosphere. Again the piston will come down, so it is going to be that in the reversible process, the external pressure is not going to remain constant, but it will be changing in infinite number of steps, infinitesimally greater than the pressure of the gas. And at every moment, in case of a compression, the external pressure is going to be equal to P gas plus dP, a small change in pressure, right? So this is pressure of the gas, and the pressure external is going to be pressure of the gas plus very little amount increase that we are doing in every step. So you can just consider it to be made up of infinite number of steps like this. So if you start the process over here with a very low pressure and a large volume of the gas, so the volume is increasing this side, right? So we have a large volume of the gas and a very small amount of pressure. You increase the pressure by a very little amount, the volume is going to decrease. Again, the balance maintained, the equilibrium attained between the pressure on two sides. Then again you applied a little more pressure. So this way you are building up slow and steadily the pressure, and the volume is decreasing. Okay, so this is how you are going to carry out your process. At every stage the external pressure therefore is not constant. In the irreversible process, if it was 50, it remained 50 and quickly the piston came down. But now at every step the external pressure is different, and that is going to be equal to pressure of the gas plus a small change in pressure. In case of a compression, at every stage the external pressure will be equal to P gas plus dP, and in case of an expansion it will be P gas minus dP. Okay, so in every case it is going to, the pressure of the gas will be more and the external pressure will be less. That is why the piston will go up in the case of an expansion. So in case of an expansion, it will be equal to P gas minus dP. So what we can sum up is that the pressure that is going to be for a reversible process, the external pressure, this can be expressed as P gas plus minus dP. Clear? I hope this is clear, because this is going to be the basis of a reversible process and a reversible process. You should remember this. The pressure in the irreversible process is going to be constant, that will be P external, and in case of reversible process the pressure external will be equal to P gas plus minus a small amount of change in pressure that we are making at every step, and there are infinite number of steps. Okay. So now if we want to find out the expression for reversible work, well, now we can do that. The work done in a reversible process, this is going to be related to the internal pressure of the system. If the volume is going to change from an initial volume VI to a final volume VF, the expression for the general work that we had found out was equal to this: work equal to P external into dV, the integration within the limits Vi to Vf with a negative sign in front, right? So this was the general expression we had found out. Now we want to convert this for a reversible process. So what are you going to do the change? Well, now you know what is external pressure here. So the external pressure, this is going to be equal to P gas plus minus the small change in pressure that we were doing. So we have replaced P external by this value, right? And if you open it up, what you will be doing is P gas into dV plus minus dP into dV, the integration throughout for Vi to Vf. And what you can now remember is that dP is a very small change in pressure. dV will be a very small change in volume that will be happening in the reversible process. And if you are going to take a product of these two very small values, well, that is going to be further more small. Okay, so supposedly if I have a value 0.001 and I multiply it by a 0.001, again this value, this is going to become more small. So we can ignore this value dP into dV. Okay, so what will the expression come? Well, the expression is going to be, now just ignoring this portion, we will be getting P gas into dV, the integration from Vi to Vf minus sign in front. This will be the reversible work done. Okay, so work done in a reversible process is going to be this. So what this means is, now the work done in a reversible process, this is related to the internal pressure. Okay, for the irreversible process it was related to the external pressure. Now in the reversible process it is going to be related to the internal pressure. That is why here it is written interdependence of work and internal pressure. Okay, so now I hope this is also clear to you. How is work dependent on internal pressure in case of a reversible process? So now what we can sum up as the whole discussion that we have done till now is that the processes which can be reversed by an infinitesimally small change, they are called as reversible processes. The reversible processes occur at an infinitely slow rate in a series of equilibrium steps such that the system and the surroundings, they are always in near equilibrium with each other, and the work done in the reversible process is going to be P gas into dV, integrating it from Vi to Vf with a negative sign. Obviously, this is in accordance with the sign convention. The process which cannot be reversed, they are called as irreversible processes, and the expression for irreversible work is going to be minus P external into delta V. Okay, so I hope you are going to remember this, and this is all clear to you also. Good. Now what you can see on your screen is two plots, plot between pressure and volume in a reversible process as well as in an irreversible process. So this is what we are going to have a basic understanding today. The details are going to be coming up in the upcoming lectures. So we have to discuss a lot about them, but what all we have discussed today, that we will be understanding with the help of these graphs. And along with that, what I want you to understand over here is, with the help of these graphs, how can we understand what is the nature of work that is being done. So here, along with what you have learned about the reversible and irreversible processes, I'll be showing you on the graph. And what you will be learning in this graph is, for work done, well, we can find it out from the pressure volume graph by the area of the graph. Okay, so this is what you will be learning over here. The next thing that you will be learning is that you have just now studied that work is a path dependent function. It depends upon the path that the process is taking rather than just the initial and the final state of the system. Unlike pressure, volume, temperature, which are state functions, work is a path dependent function or a path function. So we will be proving that with the help of these two graphs, how work is a path dependent function. And the next thing that you will be learning over here very importantly is that the value of work that we find out for a reversible process is going to be more than for an irreversible process from the help of these two plots. That is what you will be learning today. Again, I have a lot to discuss about all of this. I'm just giving you a brief understanding today. Okay. And these plots that we draw, we call them as indicator diagrams. So this is also one thing that you have learned today as new. Okay, now what can you tell me first of all about these plots? Okay, first of all, I'll just give you an idea that we have a plot between pressure and volume for a gas, and when we are talking about a gas, well, we will be taking it up as an ideal gas only. So this is a plot between pressure and volume for an ideal gas. Have you done such plots earlier? Yes, you have done them. So what plot is this? Is it at a constant temperature? Is it at a constant pressure? Or is it at a constant volume as you have done in the states of matter? Can you tell? Well, if you people now know, well, this is a plot that is a reverse hyperbola, and a reverse hyperbola we draw when the temperature is going to be constant. If the pressure is going to be constant, well, the plot that we will be drawing is that pressure is constant. That means the volume will keep on changing, but the pressure will not be changing. So such a plot is what we call as a isobaric plot, same pressure. All right, and if it is going to be an isochoric process, well, the volume is not going to be changing, the pressure will keep on changing. Okay, so this is a plot that we have for an isochoric process, and this is the plot that we have for an isothermal process where pressure is inversely proportional to volume according to the Boyle's law. So this is your revision of the states of matter. This is something that I've already told you while we were discussing the various types of processes, also a brief introduction into that. There is one more process that we have to learn, that is the adiabatic process. I will not touch that today. We will be talking about it in the upcoming lectures only. Fine. So one thing that you can come to know is that if I have drawn a plot like this, well, this is going to be under isothermal conditions, right? So this is a reverse hyperbola that we have drawn. So isothermal, same temperature, we are seeing the variation between pressure and volume. All right. The next thing is I have written over here, this is a reversible process. This is an irreversible process. How did I label this? Well, for that, what you have to see is, well, the pressure P1, this was the initial pressure. This is the final pressure P2. Okay. And this is gradually changing in the process. Okay. Whereas in the second plot, what you can see is that there was again a pressure P1 and a pressure P2. At point A, we had a pressure P1 and all of a sudden the pressure has dropped to P2, okay, again at point A, and then after that the pressure P2 remaining constant, the process has been happening. Okay, I will just write it over here, A and B. So from going from this A position to B position, well, what is the value of the pressure? Well, the value of the pressure, this is constant, right? So can you see, this is the point where we are. All of a sudden there was a pressure P1, we just dropped it to P2 and then we allowed the volume to change. So this means that this volume change, this is happening at a constant pressure P2. Therefore, whenever the pressure P2 is going to be constant, right? So this means that the process is irreversible, and when the pressure is gradually changing in the process, this is a reversible process. This is also now clear to you. All right. The next thing that we can find it out is that if I am moving my process from point A to B, well, can we tell that is it an expansion that is happening to the gas or the compression is happening? So for that, what do you have to look? Well, you can look at the volume. So here we had an initial volume which was less and a final volume which was more. Right? So this means is that the initial value to the final value, the volume, this has increased. This increase means that this is an expansion. Similarly, in this also, it is going to be an expansion. Okay. What would be the graph for a compression? Well, the graph for a compression is going to be just the opposite of this. Supposedly, if the process is not going from A to B, it is going from B to A. Okay, so this was B. It is going from B to A. So B to A, now this would be the initial volume and this would be the final volume. So initial volume is more and the final volume is less. So now this would be a compression graph. Is this clear to you people now? How do we identify what process is going on? Reversible, irreversible, under what conditions it is happening? So all of these things we can look at from the graph only. Okay, now the next thing is that we have to tell what is going to be the work done in the reversible process and in an irreversible process from the graph. So for the reversible process, what you have learned is that work done, where the value, this is equal to minus W is equal to P minus dV into dV. So the negative sign, it was initially here in the formula that we derived. Now I've just put it over here so that this remains positive side. Okay, so after that, whatever the value is coming, you can put a negative sign in front of that. Okay, so here what do we have is P minus dP into dV, and when we are going to have a product of dP and dP, that is going to be less. So we ignore that. So what we can say is that work done during the reversible process is equal to P dV. Fine. Okay, now what you know is that in a reversible process, the process, this is happening very slowly and it is taking place in infinite number of steps. So what this means is that from going from A to B, well, we can break the whole process into a number of steps, like I have done for an example, a break from D to C. So this is one step in the big process. Although I have made it this big also, in fact, ideally it is going to be so small, but we have to see the process. So I have labeled just a small portion of it from D to C. Now this is going fine. So there is going to be some pressure P1 at point D and some pressure P2 at point C now. But because this is such a small change that is happening, we can say that P1 is equal to P2. Okay, for this small little step that is taking place, and Therefore, what we can say is that this pressure is almost same and the change in volume that has taken place is dV, right? So what will be work done? P into dV. P into dV is what on this plot? This area, product of pressure into volume. This area that we get for AB, small a, b, c, d, this is going to be the area for the work done, that is just going from D to C. Agreed? Okay. And now I can draw all these lines for throughout the whole process. A to D, D to C, again a small step, small, 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 small. And therefore, if I add up all these areas, what I will be getting is work done throughout the process from A to B, which is also equal to the integration of PDV from VI to VF. Agreed? So this means that the total work done for the reversible process, which is equal to the integration of PDV from VI to VF, well, we will be having this on the plot as area of ABCD. So this is again one thing that you have to remember, that from the area of the graph under the pressure volume curve, well, we can find out the work done for the reversible process. Now let us look at what will be happening in the irreversible process. So in the irreversible process, well, what we have done as an expression we have calculated is that work is equal to P2 integration of VI to VF for dV, and this is going to be equal to P2 into VF minus VI. So now let us look at this and the graph. So we had a process which was going from A to B. There was some pressure Pi. All of a sudden, we have dropped that pressure to P2. Okay. So this now pressure is being maintained throughout the process and the gas is expanding from Vi to Vf. Right. So work done is at a pressure P2 and the change in volume is going to be what? Vi to Vf. So this means final volume minus initial volume. This will give us delta V, and this is going to be the pressure which the process is happening. So this is equal to V2 into Vf into Vi. And if you look at the area, well, now this is going to be the area under the graph, which is the work done in an irreversible process. In a reversible process, this was the area, but again you can find it out from the area under the plot, right? So this is also an area and this is also area under the plot. So you can find out work done. Fine. Now the next thing is you can also very visibly see that this area is much larger than this area. This means that in a reversible expansion, the work that has been done is much more than the work done in an irreversible expansion. So that is what we have learned earlier also, that the value of work done is going to be greater for a reversible process than for an irreversible process. Is it clear? Very good. So now the next thing is that the P and V, they can be variedly influenced by different factors in different processes, and therefore the numerical value of W is going to vary accordingly, whether it is going to be an isothermal process, isochoric process. So that is what we will be discussing in the upcoming lecture. Okay. Now one more thing which we were talking about was that work is a path dependent function. So this is automatically, I think, should be understood to you that in the reversible process we are finding the value of work to be different from the value which we are finding out in our irreversible process. So this means that this is dependent upon the path, because otherwise if it would have been a state function from A to B, both the systems are going. The values of pressure for both the systems, they are the same, right? The volumes, the change, that is also the same in the both processes. But again, the value of work that has come is different in the two processes. Therefore, work is a path dependent function. Okay, so I hope the whole concept, this is clear to you. And if there is something still left, do not worry. You are going to study about all the processes, isothermal, isobaric, adiabatic and all, reversible, irreversible. So the concept will become slow and steadily very strong. So that would be all for this lecture. I hope you enjoyed your learning with me and you have understood very important concepts that we learned today. So see you again. Have a nice day. God bless you.